Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Recovered on Purpose show, bringing the word Wednesday. Super excited about this lesson today. We're diving into Exodus to see some different roles that people played in the life of Moses that made him able to lead his people to the promised land. Super excited about this. Enjoy the show and keep living Recovered on Purpose.
The black represents the darkness from which we came. The white represents the light in which we now live. And the red represents the passion it takes to live recovered on purpose.
Good morning, everybody. I'm super excited you are here. I was just opening up my coffee. I got my coffee. I got my Bible. We're about to dive into a couple stories that talk about the roles that different people played in Moses's life while he was leading the Israelites to the promised land. And what's interesting about these stories is that even though he was a prophet, even though he had God on his side, he spoke directly to God and had him standing right next to him when he was talking to him, Moses still needed other people. And the question is, would he have ever been able to actually succeed without these people? And we're going to take a look at that. Let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know clean and sober dates. We love to celebrate on the Recovered on Purpose show, Clean Time. What's up, Eugene? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Kendall, good to see you. Check this channel out when you can. This guy is great. You're great, Kendall. Thank you for hopping in. So we're going to dive right into it. Again, on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have a little bit of a shorter show. So let's get right into it. So this is coming from Exodus chapter 17. And starts at verse 8. So while the people of Israel were still at Rephidim, the warriors of Amalek attacked them. Moses commanded Joshua, "Choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill, holding the staff of God in my hand." So Joshua did what Moses had commanded and fought the army of Amalek. Meanwhile, Moses, Aaron, and Hur climbed to the top of a nearby hill. As long as Moses held up the staff in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. But whenever he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained the advantage. Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up. And who's had that in their life? Who's had that in their life in recovery or in addiction when you just couldn't hold up your life anymore? And I want you to imagine holding a staff over your head like this. And holding it over your head for, hours and hours and hours. There's literally a war going on at the bottom of this mountain. So imagine that. And there was something to it about holding his staff up that made it so that as long as he had it up, the Israelites were winning. Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up. So Aaron and Hur found a stone for him to sit on. Then they stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands. So his hands held steady until sunset. As a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army of Amalek in battle. Now, who is it in your life that would hold your arms up for you in this situation? What friends do you have in recovery? What friends, family members, people that you can call, people that you can reach out to, that when you can't hold your arms up anymore, when you're struggling, when you have something going on, when your emotions are running high, who is it that you can reach out to? And I want you to think about, who is it that could reach out to you? Are you someone that somebody can reach out to and you'll hold their arms up for them? None of us got clean and sober on our own. I know that I got to a point where I was completely alone. I was going to the meetings every day. I was going to Bible study and church and everything. And I thought that the cavalry was coming to save me, right? I thought someone would end up doing this for me. What I learned was that I had to do my own steps. I had to do the work myself. But in that process of doing the work, I learned that there are also people there, as long as I'm doing the work, that will help me. And that's the same as Moses. He had to go up there. He had to climb up there and he had to hold his arms up over his head, hold his staff up over his head. But when he was doing that himself, Aaron and Hur were able to help him in their own way, right? They brought a stone over for him to sit on, so he wasn't dying standing up and holding it over his head. And then they actually went to his sides and held up his arms for him while they got so dead that he couldn't even hold them up. And be that person for other people and recognize those people that are in your life now. And if you're ever struggling, don't struggle alone. Don't hold your arms up alone, thinking that you're going to be able to, hold them forever. Because what happens when they break? What happens when you break? Does that mean that we're going to relapse? Does that mean that, we're going to, there's so many ways we can go in recovery that none of us want to go ever again. So don't be afraid to reach out to the people that you need, to reach out to people that possibly even need you to reach out to them to help, right? So the next story is just right in the next chapter. So Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian, heard about everything God had done for Moses and his people, the Israelites. He heard especially about how the Lord had rescued them from Egypt. Earlier, Moses had sent his wife, Zipporah, and his 2 sons back to Jethro, who had taken them in. Moses' first son was named Gershom, for Moses had said when the boy was born, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. His second son was named Eliezer, for Moses had said, the God of my ancestors was my helper. He rescued me from the sword of Pharaoh. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, now came to visit Moses in the wilderness. He brought Moses' wife and 2 sons with him, and they arrived while Moses and the people were camped near the mountain of God. Jethro had sent a message to Moses saying, I, Jethro, your father-in-law, am coming to see you with your wife and your 2 sons. And imagine you're out in battle. You are leading people across a whole bunch of wasteland, right? A whole bunch of land. And you're leading a lot of people, everybody that was stuck in Egypt. And you're probably getting lonely. You're probably, the Israelites are complaining to him all the time about needing food and needing water. And why'd you take us out of Egypt? And he's probably getting tired of this, right? So Jethro brought his family to him, which is nice. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law. He bowed low and kissed him. They asked about each other's welfare and then went into Moses' tent. Moses told his father-in-law everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh in Egypt on behalf of Israel. He also told about all the hardships they had experienced along the way and how the Lord had rescued his people from all their troubles. Jethro was delighted when he heard about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel as he rescued them from the hand of the Egyptians. Praise the Lord, Jethro said, for he has rescued you from the Egyptians and from Pharaoh. Yes, he has rescued Israel from the powerful hand of Egypt. I know now that the Lord is greater than all other gods, because he rescued his people from the oppression of the proud Egyptians. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God. Aaron and all the elders of Israel came out and joined him in a sacrificial meal in God's presence. Now, this is where it is. Jethro's wise advice. The next day, Moses took his seat to hear the people's disputes against each other. They waited before him from morning until evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw that Moses was doing for the people, he asked, What are you really accomplishing here? Why are you trying to do all this alone while everyone stands around you from morning till evening? Moses replied, Because the people come to me to get a ruling from God. When a dispute arises, they come to me, and I am the one who settles the case between the quarreling parties. I inform the people of God's decrees and give them his instructions. This is not good, Moses' father-in-law exclaimed. You're going to wear yourself out, and the people too. This job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself. Now listen to me, and let me give you a word of advice, and may God be with you. You should continue to be the people's representatives before God, bringing their disputes to him. Teach them God's decrees and give them his instructions. Show them how to conduct their lives, but select from all the people some capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Appoint them as leaders over groups of 1,150 and 10. They should always be available to solve the people's common disputes, but have them bring the major cases to you. Let the leaders decide the smaller matters themselves. They will help you carry the load, making the task easier for you. If you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures, and all these people will go home in peace. Now, these are the roles that we're talking about. This Jethro just came and gave advice to Moses, who's literally being led by God. This is someone who the people are coming to him to go to God and get answers. God is standing right next to him, and he's having a conversation with him. This same man, Moses, needed advice from someone else that was able to make it so that he wouldn't get worn out. Not only that, but it would make it so that the whole group of people, all the Israelites, would be governed in a way that worked. And what this did was it made it so that Moses could focus on other things. He could start getting deeper with God about the other things that they needed to do, the other purposes for his life and his ministry. And so the two different roles that we're talking about today, who are the people that are there to help you? Your friends, the Aarons and Hurs, the people that are going to hold your arms up in battle, the people that, you know, when you're struggling with your emotions, when you're struggling with your thoughts, when your car's in the shop and you just need a ride home and you don't want to do Uber, you want someone to talk to. There's those roles, your friends. Then who are you allowing in your life to give you advice? What mentors are you allowing in your life to help you get to where you want to go? And these roles are so important for us to have in order to have a successful life, a joyful life in our recovery. And here's the thing. When we are talking about mentors and about allowing mentors into your life, you always want to judge the tree by the fruit it bears, not by the fruit it talks about. So when you are allowing someone to speak into your life, when you're allowing someone to give you advice, you always want to make sure to test their life by witnessing it. You know, I remember one time in my very, very early recovery before this time when I was still trying to get clean. And I was so excited about this guy that had like 26 years to be my sponsor. I was talking to him. I heard him speak in a meeting and was just amazed by it and everything. And he offered to take me out to lunch. We go out to lunch, and the way he treated the waitress was so disrespectful and just rude to this random person that I knew that I couldn't follow this person. I knew I couldn't listen to him about anything, because if he's willing to treat someone like that, then how could I possibly listen to him? And then another time, one of my mentors right now, actually, I was on a call with him and we were talking and he was kind of coaching me and stuff. And then, for lack of a better term, his kids came up and interrupted him. And the way that he interacted with his kids, the way that he didn't get a rise of emotion, he didn't get angry. He quickly, not dealt with, but catered to them, helped them with the issue that they had right there. They're really young, like 6, 7, 8. And then he said, and I'm on a call, so give me 30 minutes or so. And then they didn't interrupt again. And while I watched his interaction with his kids, I was completely just in awe of it, honestly, because the way that he parented was something that I would want to be like. That's how I would want to parent my kids. And so that made it, and the way that he lived his life made it so that I was willing to listen to him. And when he gives me advice, I listen. When he tells me to do something, I do it, because I trust where he's leading me. So who in your life right now is giving you advice? And if you don't have someone in your life right now that is giving you advice, it's time to look for a mentor, a coach, a new sponsor, someone that is somewhere that you want to be, that you can listen to on how to get there. Because here's the thing, we can all go at life and we have a goal in it, right? We have a goal in life. And if we do it alone, we'll get there eventually. It might take us 5 years, 10 years, something like that, to get to the goal that we have. With a mentor, with a coach, with someone that gives you advice that has already done this, that 5 years can get cut all the way down to 1 year. Because what that does is you're able to learn from that person's lessons instead of having to learn your own lessons from your own failures on your path to success. There's books to read, there's videos to watch, and then there's also people that are looking for people just like you to advise, to coach, to mentor. Because the circle of knowledge, the way it works is you got to be learning from someone where the relationship is they teach you. They teach you the whole time. You have nothing to teach them. You listen, you ask questions, things like that. And then you have the Aarons and the Hurs, the friends around you, the peer group that hold each other's arms up, that you can reach out to when you need help with something specific in the moment, when you can interact with each other about the things that you're learning and grow together. And then a third of your time also needs to be as a mentor. Wherever you're at right now, you have knowledge, you have a way that you have gotten clean and sober to this point. You have something